Hey guys, Matt Landfair here with Primary and Secondary. I'm going to start out with a little story about a little handgun. So the first handgun I ever owned was a Colt 1911. This was given to me by my father. This had to have been, well, this was over 20 years ago, so long before any of you were ever born, clearly. So it's an old 1911. My dad bought it when he was in the Marine Corps, before I was born. Matter of fact, looking at the serial number, it was manufactured, I think, early 1910, 1911, somewhere, something like that. That might be wrong, though. I looked it up several years ago, so who knows? All I know is this is old. So when I was thinking about this story, I remembered how excited I was when I received this. I wouldn't say I thought I was invincible, but this definitely changed things. And this was just so cool. It still is. It's a really cool firearm. Matter of fact, I was thinking at some point, maybe about 20 years ago, that I wanted to update it and make it a little bit more modern. And I ultimately decided not to, just keep it in standard configuration. Still shoots. Had a gunsmith kind of mess up the front sight though when I lost it out shooting, but that's another story. So we have this brand new gun owner with this brand new 1911, and boy was this cool. It was so cool, in fact, I was showing my younger brother, my brother who is 10 years younger than I am. Matter of fact, if you heard the opening music, he's the guy that made that. He wrote that. Matter of fact, that was kind of done on a whim, just kind of an experiment, like most of the things I do. So I was showing him the cool features about this 1911. I pretty much made sure that this was clear to the best of my ability. And so I was showing him the features, the thumb safety, the grip safety. Specifically with the grip safety, what I was showing him was how if there's not pressure applied to this rear safety, the trigger doesn't go off. It's really cool. This backstrap safety is so cool. Of course, as I was doing this, I was pointing this directly at him. And I was showing him how, oh, look how cool this is. And then I was going to show him how it actually functions. Now, in my mind, I had already cleared the firearm. Clearly, there was no magazine in there because I removed that, and I thought I checked the chamber. Unfortunately, though, when I decided, hey, let's check the chamber before I show you how it actually functions, I popped it open, and of course, one full metal jacket round tumbles out. That pretty much ruined my day. As a matter of fact, that ruined a lot of things. I still think about that. That's not really anything I talk about. That was the closest thing to my recollection that I've come to a negligent discharge. Now, why am I talking about that? Why am I telling that story? I'm going to get into that. I think this is going to be one of the videos I'm not going to share with my dad. So online we have all these discussions. We have these debates. 1911 versus Glock. 9mm versus .45, revolver versus semi-auto, subcompact versus full size, all these types of discussions. And they can be pretty entertaining. Rarely do actual facts come out of them. But facts are present. They do come out on occasion. But, you know, if you really look at it, if you look at it a lens from multiple angles, you can see all sides of that are right. There is no correct answer. There is no one right answer to any of those because we're going to find exceptions, kind of like that last video I did. We're going to find exceptions to a lot of these arguments. In knowing those exceptions is the trick. Many times when I hear people speak in absolutes, always, never, it's coming from a background of, well, potentially two things, it seems. One is they don't necessarily have an entire grasp of a concept. So they deal in absolutes, like a Sith, So they deal in these absolutes because they don't know anything better. They don't know about these exceptions. The other category I find would be those of the educator. They're trying to provide a straight and narrow path for the student to go by, where eventually they hope they're going to learn about these exceptions. When they learn about these exceptions, then we can take the discussions to the next level. Matter of fact, these exceptions are rather cool. I kind of got into this slightly with one of the other videos, how some of these bugs are awesome guns for their niche. personally for me, I'm not going to carry it. One of my exceptions, my body size allows me to do a lot more than others compared to my wife, who is a fraction of my size, who probably wouldn't carry a gun anyway, but that's also another story. So participating in those debates is a lot of fun, especially when you get someone who is so into one side and it's just fun to poke at them. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about exceptions. They do exist. There is a point where, yeah, I'd opt for a 1911. As a matter of fact, as a new firearm owner, that is what I had. I didn't have the ability to just go buy out the newest, latest, and greatest. We also have those with shotguns. Personally, I believe a 5.56 carbine is a better option. An AR-15 is a better option for home defense for various reasons. However, there are circumstances where a shotgun works better. You may see some videos coming up from InRange where maybe, there might be some exceptions with some of the content produced on InRange that kind of helps the other side of an argument that I've been pretty much fighting. So really the beauty with these discussions are the exceptions, because once you get a handle on these exceptions, you have a way better understanding of the whole thing. If we put our minds to it, we could make a case for .22 being an optimal carry. Yeah. We can come up with all kinds of exceptions. But then this comes into the part where, in that initial story where I was going to press the trigger and demonstrate how the weapon functioned and then realized the weapon was loaded, there's a responsibility aspect. We can get away with the bare minimum, but in my opinion, it's our responsibility to go for the most effective. Not necessarily the maximum, but the most effective. What works best for you, but you need to be honest with yourself about that. That means actually take training. That means study up on this stuff. Find out what's actually working, what doesn't. Don't rely on social media. Yes, there are facets of social media that are awesome. I can think of a couple, but don't just rely on that. Rely on firsthand experience. Rely on people that you trust. People that you trust that other people trust. Vetted people. Trustworthy people. So with most things in life, despite what the internet says, this is up to you. This is up to you to decide. Obviously, there are optimal options, there are optimal ways of going things, and there are also the minimum, and there are the less than optimal options. You're the one that's going to be held responsible when the time comes. You owe this to yourself, to your family, to those you serve. Seek out the best possible for your situation. So that is it. If you like what you heard, make sure you hit like. We also appreciate any shares and especially subscriptions. Help us get the word out on basically the work that we're doing. And speaking of this work actually is for you. So if you like the work that we've been doing, definitely visit patreon.com/primary and secondary. From there you can help support our work. It helps fund these little videos, it helps fund podcasts, modcasts, hosting, website form, all that kind of stuff. And again, this is truly all for your benefit. If you found this has helped you, definitely do share. And that's pretty much it. I will talk to you soon.